Welcome, everyone. This is Recovery Dharma. My name is Julia. I'm one of the facilitators of this extraordinary community of practitioners. At this time, I'd like to set an intention for our practice, but as you settle in, I want to invite anyone for our practice today to lie down. That is a wonderful way to practice. It is my belief that on the journey of recovery, we need a lot more rest than we ever give ourselves permission to have. So if you would like to lie down and really relax, please feel at complete ease to do so. I have a bowl of sentiments of metta. And there are these little paintings, many of which I have done, and many of which Sangha members from all over have sent to me. They've sent me little paintings, little drawings, handmade cards, and I chop them up into smaller pieces, and I make these sentiments of metta. This one reads, "May you see love everywhere. May you see love everywhere." Take a deep breath. And just as I did, sigh it out if that feels true for you. Breathing in. And arrive fully to this practice. Just taking this moment, this sacred pause in the day. The morning has already happened. The afternoon is yet to come. And in this time we have together, we're here to turn an inward gaze, allow the mind its wanderings, soften the heart to these teachings, practice being with ourselves and whatever arises in the mind and the heart. Welcome, everyone. For the month of February in the Spokane Sangha, we are exploring the second noble truth in Buddhism, which is there are causes and conditions to suffering. We have reimagined this language to suggest that there are causes and conditions to not only suffering, but to any discomfort, as well as to any and every pleasure. Understanding the causes and conditions of whatever is making us uncomfortable or whatever is making us cling to pleasure or escape or numbing or whatever, understanding those conditions is what leads to clarity, which is what leads to freedom. This understanding the causes and conditions, one of the things that it does is it's a practice of empowerment because it enables us to examine the ways that we've been making excuses, the ways that we have been beholden to narratives of victimhood, the way that we've been telling stories of blame, and to simply turn some gentle attention toward our own actions. And these actions include the actions of misconduct, yes, and the actions of tremendous skill. And so today, I'd like to bring forward and share with you a teaching, really an instrument of peace from our SatiSeva practice. And it's called, "I have the capacity to." That mantra, you can use it as a mantra. I have the capacity to. And by simply saying that, we give ourselves permission to own our own misconduct, our own unskillfulness. I have the capacity to be unskillful in my actions and my speech. And I have the capacity to be incredibly skillful in my actions and my speech. Both conditions create the whole of me. My aspiration is to do less harm in the world. And that means my attention tends to go more toward those actions that are unskillful so that I can learn from them, I can change them, I can shift them, and they can become avenues of more skill and therefore less harm. I have the capacity to. It's a wonderful mantra, and it really leads to humility. And humility is a quality of vulnerability and great strength. To be humble is to know oneself completely. And to dare to reveal qualities that are not particularly noble, reminders that we are all, each of us, works in progress. So today, I'd like to bring forward the 5 lay precepts that we pay attention to in our recovery Dharma practice. And these are 5 lay precepts that one would encounter in any Buddhist practice. And I'd like to assign the instrument of peace, I have the capacity, to each of these precepts as an invitation for us to explore the conditions. For example, one of the precepts is that we abstain from taking intoxicants. So I have the capacity to abstain from taking intoxicants. I also have the capacity to take intoxicants. I have the capacity to use wise speech. I also have the capacity to lie. One of the precepts we make is to abstain from lying. Another is to abstain from sexual misconduct. I have the capacity to abstain from conduct that is unskillful in all of my relationships, and I have the capacity to be unskillful. Another lay precept is the invitation to abstain from stealing. I have the capacity to steal, to take. I also have the capacity to be enormously giving and to share. And one of the last precept that we pay attention to is the invitation to abstain from killing. And friends, I have the capacity to abstain from killing, and I have the capacity to kill. Both of those qualities live in me, and I want to tell you today that I killed yesterday and I stole yesterday. And I'm telling you this not in a confessional way. I'm just telling you as an example of understanding the conditions. So the murder that I committed yesterday was to a poor box elder bug. I have an infestation in my old farmhouse. I do every spring. And over the years, we haven't done very many interventions for this buggy infestation. Most of the time, I gather them up in a cup and I release them outside. And I think I'm about 90% merciful. But yesterday I was so annoyed. I'm like, oh my God, creepy little bug right on the edge of my water faucet, like just appeared right there. And I'm just like, gross. I was done. I had had it. So I grabbed a little tissue that was nearby and I picked it up and I picked it up aggressively and with pressure. And I'm certain I squished it and I threw it in the garbage. Totally killed it. And then, of course, I felt terrible about it because I have taken this precept, I will not kill. And there I just did. So now I get to look at that. What were the conditions that led me to that unskillful action? For me, the condition of annoyance, the condition of surprise, the condition of judgment. Those were the three things that I was working with. I was annoyed. I've got a lot of these things in my house. I don't really know what to do, and I don't want to call an exterminator. And gross. The second thing is I didn't appreciate seeing this thing walking along my water faucet. It surprised me. I didn't expect it there, and boom, there it was, and it freaked me out a little bit. The judgment was creepy, creepy little bug, and I didn't like it. If I had a ladybug infestation, I wouldn't be having this conversation with you. I wouldn't be sharing this. Ladybugs, hooray, the more the merrier. Box elder bugs, gross. Judgment. Would you look at that? I have the capacity to be merciful and I have the capacity to kill. I am not proud of this awareness, and I have to recognize this possibility. I don't want to deny for a minute how these possibilities live in me, because if I do, then I deny myself the opportunity to explore the conditions. And when I do that, I deny myself the opportunity to understand myself. And when I do that, I deny myself any sense of freedom, any chance of freedom. Killing that box elder bug yesterday with such awareness and intentionality shifted something in me. I won't be doing that again. But that doesn't mean the possibility won't arise in me. I have the capacity to kill, and I don't want to. So I've got to keep after that. I've got to be a practitioner determined to keep looking at those conditions. I stole recently too. And how this manifested is somebody's time. I stole their time. They may not admit it, but I can see that I did. I just yapped on and on. Stealing comes in many forms, friends. It's not just in taking what doesn't belong to us in terms of a material thing. It's stealing someone's attention, stealing someone's time, taking it long after, not honoring where someone is, not honoring someone else's capacity, taxing someone's nerves, taxing someone's presence. That's a form of stealing. I have the capacity to steal. Would you look at that? Okay, let's understand the conditions there. This one's a little bit more complex. I'm not clear on this one, so I'm going to take this one into a deeper reflection. But I think it had to do with I was puzzling through something complicated and I needed more attention. And I also think it had to do with wrong timing. I went to this person when this person wasn't really available, and I was sort of insisting that they be available to me, and I wasn't paying attention to timing. If I had just exercised a little bit more patience, I might have had a different outcome and not pushed the time, not stolen more of their attention. I don't know. I'm going to still think about it. Friends, understanding the second noble truth is being humble enough to admit that each of us possess the qualities within us that we don't like. That's part of being human. We all possess positive qualities, negative qualities, neutral qualities. To deny that is to limit our understanding. I don't steal anymore. That may be true within the context of material things, but in other ways, what is my capacity to steal? I don't kill anything. I've never killed a person. I don't go hunting. I don't have weapons. Yes, but in what other ways do I have the capacity to take life? This is an invitation to broaden the perspective, broaden the mind, and see the ways that we've been limited by our own stories, and to be humble. I have the capacity to be a villain, and I have the capacity to be a saint. Somewhere in between is where I exist, with the aspiration to live a life with less harm to myself and by extension to others. So take a moment of silence and just ask yourself, what do I have the capacity for? Allow a quality to surface. Maybe even one of these precepts. We abstain from killing. We abstain from stealing. We abstain from lying. We abstain from sexual misconduct. We abstain from taking intoxicants. Let's flip it out and say, I have the capacity for all of these things. And just look. But be gentle about it. Be curious. This is not an invitation to flog yourself. This is not an invitation to scold or admonish yourself. That again is an expression of unskillful speech. This is an opportunity to simply be curious, to have a sneaky peek, to be humble. Start with something simple. See what you notice. Breathe. I have the capacity to. Friends, as you take this reflection into your day, remember that you may put yourself in a bit of vulnerability. That is, I know for myself when I practice this, I have a tendency to invite a lot of negativity, all of the qualities that I'm embarrassed by and all the things that I've been humiliated by and so forth. So I have to recognize that I have the capacity for some really unskillful conduct. I have the capacity to be incredibly adolescent. I have the capacity to react and be highly confused. All of that is true. And the truth is, I also have the capacity to be wise and discerning. I have the capacity to understand the causes and conditions of my reactivity. I have the capacity to empower myself and complete my actions with full agency. I have the capacity to be curious, full of wonder and joy. I have the capacity to be a whole human being here to heal myself and by extension, offer healing to others. If I have this capacity, so do you. I believe that with every fiber of my being. Breathing in, I have the capacity for so much. Breathing out, I have the capacity to understand it all. Can end our practice today with a dedication of merit. For those of you who are new to a Buddhist recovery practice or a Buddhist practice in general, it's traditional to begin a practice with an intention, a motivation for why are we here? What's the intention that we want to set for this practice? And today's intention was to see love everywhere. What an amazing intention. Like, go out there and open your eyes and see love everywhere. And don't forget to include yourself in your gaze as a loving, peaceful being with the capacity for so much goodness and so much villainy, too. We can be mischievous about that and look with curiosity. So we end our practice with a dedication. We recognize that we've created and generated a lot of merit here, a lot of positivity, a lot of good action from coming to a meeting like this, from taking time to sit quietly, from reflecting, from learning to be a little bit more humble, perhaps a little less defensive. These are all super positive qualities that we can now extend out into the world by way of our presence, by way of our wonder, by way of our determination, by way of our honesty. We dedicate this practice to anyone who has not quite found their way back to themselves, back to their magnificence and their brightness, back to their light and their healing, back to places of limitless joy and compassion. We dedicate this practice to anyone who is still shackled by the ravages of addiction, anyone who is ill, and we dedicate this practice to anyone who has left this life and has moved on. May their journey continue with peace. May your journey continue with peace. And may you cultivate eyes to see love everywhere. Thank you for your beautiful practice today, friends. We'll see you next time. Namaste.